In this video, I'm going to look at the last level. So I'm looking at the level 3, which is going to include, in my case, an end of game boss and a collectible object. And in my game, you have to collect both of those objects in order to complete the game. You may decide that you only want to use a boss or an end of level collectible object, and that's fine. I'll explain how you use those as we go through the video. So to save time, I've already created my end of level boss, and you can see the end of level boss on screen at the moment. I've also created a sprite and an object for my collectible object, which in my case is a golden apple. So you can see my golden apple is here. Okay, and I have also created an object for the golden apple. There's nothing really new in what I've actually done there. I've created the golden apple, created the object for it, and I've also, like I say, created the sprite and the object for the boss. The boss moves around randomly, so in my variable definitions on my boss, exactly the same as we did for the other monsters, I've set a speed and I've set a direction of iRandom, which means it's going to be a random number between 0 and 360. And then obviously when it collides with the wall, exactly the same as we've done before, I've set a direction variable to change to iRandom 360. So if we just see what that does in game, this is nothing new, so I'm not going to spend very little time on this at all. So you can see if I go through to the level, I've moved my keys and my exits so it's easy to jump between the levels. Okay, I'm going to move them back later. So you can see my golden apple is in the bottom right hand corner, and you can see that my end of game boss is randomly moving about the screen. Okay, at the moment currently, if I shoot the boss, nothing happens. Okay, and if I collide with the boss, nothing happens. Let's just try that. If I can catch up with him, because he's quite fast, you can see I was just moving forward and I'm shooting him there and nothing is happening. Okay, so we need to think about what we need. So my end of level boss is going to have a number of lives or health. So we need to do a couple of things. So because the way that our game works, the GUI controller object, which is this one over here, okay, this controls all of the game. Okay, so if we lose our lives, we switch room to the lose screen and so on. That was in the last video. So because we're actually going to be using the health of the boss outside of the object for boss, what that means is if I created a variable in here that tracked the health of the boss, I wouldn't be able to use it elsewhere in game. So we need to set something called a global variable, and we've done this already in other for the has the key. So we're constantly checking to see in the levels if we've collected the key. If you've got the key, it lets us move to the next level. So the first thing we're going to do is to set a few variables. The first variable we're going to need is the monster health initially, and then the second variable we're going to need is to say whether or not we've collected the golden apple. Now obviously if you're only using one of those things, you'll need one of those variables, but I'm going to be using both. So let's go into the GUI controller object and let's do the game start. So on the game start, we've already set a global variable. Now I could drag in this again underneath here and create another global variable, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, if you look at the side of the global variable here, if I click the plus, it allows me to set another variable. So this time I'm going to type in global dot what should we call it, boss health or boss HP. There we go. So there's my global variable, and I'm going to set that global variable to 100. The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to use a health bar, and that the health bar is going to be displayed on screen. The health bar goes from 100 to 0 because it's a percentage of what's left. So if I only wanted to have 5 hits to kill it, then every single time my bullet hits the object, then I would take 20% or the value 20 off the current global variable of boss HP. So there's that one, and let's set another one, and this one is going to be for has apple, and initially it's going to be set to 0. Okay, excellent. So there's our global variable set. So now I can get rid of this, because what I want to do now is to start working in this object. So I'm going to add a new event, and I want to check for a collision between the bullet, because obviously if the bullet collides with the enemy, then we need to not necessarily destroy the enemy this time, but we need to make sure that we take 20 off our health. So let's go onto a collision event with an object, and we are going to collide with the bullet. Okay, so the very first thing that we want to do when we collide with the bullet is to destroy the bullet, because if we don't, that bullet is going to keep touching the enemy all the time as it passes through. So we need, as soon as it touches it, we need to destroy the instance, but we're not destroying the instance of boss, we're destroying the instance of bullet. So we need to make sure we change this to other, okay, the other instance in the collision. So what we're going to do now is to use a variable. So we're going to assign a variable, and the variable name we're going to use is the global.bosshp. Global.boss, and there's the boss HP. And what we're going to do, if the bullet collides, we are going to subtract 20 from the boss HP. But we're going to make sure that it's relative, so it keeps a tally of where we are. So what that will do then is change the boss HP value to 80. Okay, we won't set it to 20, it'll turn it to 80. Okay, so we're going to add minus 20 to global boss HP. What we're then going to do is to check to see if the hit points are at 0. Okay, so we're going to do an if. So if global.bosshp is equal to 0, okay, we're then going to destroy the instance. Now don't forget, let's just get rid of that, you need to make sure that when you do this with the if statement, you drag to the right hand side of the if statement. It needs to look like that, okay, otherwise it's not going to work. So let's go and test this out, make sure that it works. Okay, so let's get through to the last level. Okay, so let's have a look. I admit it yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it disappears. So we know that that's working, so that's great. So the last thing that we're going to do with this monster, with the end of level boss, is to display a health bar on the screen. So the way that we do that, we need to add a GUI draw event into this object. So we're just going to go add event, we're going to select draw, and we want to draw a GUI. So this is only going to be for this particular object, so this particular boss. Okay, we're going to need two things. We need the health bar, and we need a label for the health bar. So let me just draw the health bar first, just so you can see what I mean. So we're going to come into the search, and we're going to do draw health. There we go. So there's the draw health bar from a 0 to 100 value, not this one, instance health, this one here, the draw the health bar. I'm going to drag that on. Okay, so what do we want? Well, we want the health bar to reduce from the right. Okay, that means it will it'll go that way. Okay, the value you want to set, we don't want to set it at 100, we want to set it to the value of global.boss HP. So it'll start at 100, and as it goes down it will reduce. The next value is where do we want the health bar to be visible on the screen. So I'm going to put 1300, and let's try 1200 first. 1200. The right is going to be 1300. Bottom, leave as it is. We want to bring it down from the top, so I'm going to bring it down 30 from the top. I'm going to just check what that looks like first before we go any further. Okay, so there's my health bar. Okay, so it's set the right over to 1300, the left to 1200. That gives me the width of the bar. And now I'm going to have a look at the colors of the health bar, and secondly then I'm going to add a label to the health bar. So colors, entirely up to you. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go black. Okay, I'm going to select this one. I'm going to put the outline as black as well. Okay, I'm going to have my maximum color, okay, set to red. It's up to you what colors you choose. And I'm going to have my minimum color set to green, or a greenish color. Okay, so let's have a look quickly what that looks like. And you should be able to see a massive difference in the way that the health bar looks. Okay, there we go, and there's my health bar. Black outline, there'll be a black background behind it as it starts to go down, and the closer it gets to the end, it will turn green. Okay, so let's just show you what that actually does work. If I can hit the monster, there we go. So you can see it's going from the other side. It's going from the left to the right. So I need to change that then. So let's change that to left, and let's try that again. Oh, I don't want to do that. Let's go straight into the game. Okay. There we go. So it's now reducing down. So you can see it's changed colour as well as I've hit them again. Okay, so that's brilliant. That's working as I want. So now I just need to add a label on the top. And to do that, I'm going to do another draw event. But this time, I'm going to draw a value. So let's have a look. There's the draw value. I'm going to drag that on the top. Try that again, Mr. Webb. Drag that onto the top. The caption in here I'm going to have as boss health. And this is going to take a little bit of messing about because you need to make sure that it's in the right place. So I'm going to start initially with 1100. Let's see what that looks like, and I want to come down about 5 from the Y. So let's see what that looks like. Obviously, if I wanted to change the font of this, I could just draw a font and then use that font. That's pretty good, actually. That's exactly what I wanted. So you can see I've got boss health at the top there, and I've got my health bar. So that is great. So the next thing I need to do is to make sure that if I collide with the boss, that I lose a life. So let's sort that. So we've already got something similar. So what we're going to do is to use what we've already got rather than typing it in again. So we're going to do a test to make sure that if we collide with the boss, so we're going to go into our player object, okay, and we're going to add a new event, a collision event with the object boss, okay, and you can see that this code, okay, I've copied directly from the enemy code. So you can see that this code for the enemy I've copied directly into the boss. So what happens here is it destroys the instance, so it destroys me, or the player. It creates the player again at X start and Y start, so that's the start of the level, and applying to the GUI controller, because that's where our variables are set, we're going to remove a life. Okay, so that's how that works. So all I've done is copied and pasted. Now to copy and paste it, all you need to do in your enemy object, you can copy and paste each one of these individually. Okay, you can hold the shift key and draw a box around them like that, okay, and copy them, or you can click on the first one in the list, hold down shift, click the last one that selects them all, right click, copy, and then go and paste them into the to the boss object. So if I just show you, let's get rid of these ones, let's delete those. So I've already copied them, so I'm just going to right click, paste, and it puts them straight back in. Okay, so let's go and see if that works. As a matter of fact, before we do that, let's talk about the golden apple. So all I want to do with the golden apple, if you remember, is to set the has apple to 1 once I collect it and remove it from the screen. So let's do another event, and we're going to do another collision event with the object, and I've got my object here, golden apple. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is I am going to destroy the instance of the apple, and then I'm going to set a variable, or the variable. Now let's just make sure we've got the right variable name. So let's go into the GUI, OBJ controller GUI. So we've got the variable has apple, and you want to change the value to a 1. Okay, so let's come back up. So it's going to be global dot has apple. has apple, and we're going to set that to a 1. It's not going to be relative because we're not adding anything to it. We're just going to change it from a 0 to a 1. Okay, so let's close that down. Let's make sure that those are correct. Right, that's not correct there because I've made a mistake. Okay, so I need to change that to global dot has apple. I thought I saw that when I looked at it just now. So that is now correct. So make sure that you've got that variable declared properly. Let's close that one down, and let's close this down, and let's close this down. Now let's see if our game works so far. So let's press play. Okay, I'm going to collect these two. Right, so I'm now on the level. Okay, so first off, let's see if it removes a life if I collide with the, there we go, so it's removed a life and sent me back to the start, so that's fine. So I've hit him once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and it's gone. And now if I come across and collect the apple, right, so what have I done? I've destroyed the instance, but I haven't destroyed the instance of other, because I was creating my collision event on my player object. What's happened is I've set destroy instance and I've destroyed the player and not the apple. So we're just going to quickly go back and change that. So let's go back onto our player. There's the player. Let's go on to the collision event with the golden apple, that one there, and change this not to self to other. Okay, let's try that again. I won't kill the boss. I'll just collect the apple just to make sure that it now disappears. Okay. Let's see. There we go. Now that works properly. So that's how I've coded my last level. Don't forget, if you only want to use the end of level boss with health, or if you only want to use a collectible, then that's fine. You need to ignore the relevant parts of the things you don't want. And what I'm going to show you in the next video is how we now move from this level, okay, this level 3 end level, to a win screen. So I'm going to cover that in the next video.